I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Okay, here we go. The Beatles-Revolution. Let's do it.
Oh boy. Okay.
All right, there's the Beatles. All right, let's see if we're still alive. I haven't heard anybody say we're cut off yet, so we might have made it. We might have made it. The quality here was interesting. They set the distortion all the way to 11. But I got the gist of the song, actually. Except for the weird breathing parts in between. I'm assuming that it was that Vietnamese lady.
What?
That influenced him to do that. That Yoko Ono? She Vietnamese? I probably think she's Vietnamese because I just associate the Beatles with the 60s. But
oh man,
there was that weird breathing that he did, like in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, they were all doing it, I think.
Yeah. They all looked very high as well.
Jumping in, chiming in, it was very odd.
Very, very odd.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, here we go. What?
Let's just get into it.
No, go ahead. Start.
I don't understand how these people got so big.
What, the Beatles?
Yeah. Every time I hear a song, I'm like, all right, but it's just disappointing.
Oh, God. Apparently Yoko Ono is Japanese.
Okay. Well, there you go. You said it, not me.
It's one of them things where it's like, what is it like in Africa, Vin? Like,
Yep.
Africa? What the fuck? I'm Jamaican. Yeah, but that's close, right? Africa? Jamaica? No? It's in the Caribbean, you idiot! Here we are! Now, look, there's only one solution to this. Yoko Ono, listen, I ethnicized you, I think. So, I'm going to apologize to you face to face. Yoko Ono, will you do an interview with me? Hear me, Yoko! Hear me! Now I got to Google to see if she's still alive. She's probably not still alive anymore.
I don't know.
That's like 1 out of 3. Okay. Go ahead, continue.
I don't know. Okay, you say you want a revolution. Well, we'd all love to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution. Well, we'd all love to change the world.
Wait, hold on. River is saying it's pretty easy. All the hype about the Beatles is pretty easy. None of this had ever been done prior. None of what has been done prior? This sounds like a regular song to me. Like, I need some help with this. What groundbreaking things does this song communicate? Like, I don't understand it. I'm not dissing the song. I'm saying, like, I'll tell my opinion about the song in a second.
Sound,
but like,
you mean?
What is somebody explain to me the groundbreaking phenomena. It just sounds like notes, chords, 4/4 timing. Like, what did they do different that made them? Again, when I went to the recording studio, dropped that verse for that guy. The guy that owned the studio was a massive Beatles acolyte. He loved the Beatles. He was sitting. I mean, we were rappers, and he was sitting there explaining to us, basically, that if it wasn't for the Beatles, there'd be no rap. So it's like it's me and a bunch of Somali guys.
I don't get it.
The Somali guys. The weed was so heavy in the studio that I got high when I went in to drop my verse.
Really?
Like, yeah, like. These guys were like completely shot, could barely speak English, and this guy sat us down and explained how hip hop owes its origin to the Beatles.
I mean,
I was the only lucid individual at the time. Everybody else was like, Defo was like, yeah, man, yeah, definitely. He was high as fuck. I'm like, listen, man, just get me in the studio. Let me drop my thing. Get me in the booth. Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Just because I don't get it doesn't mean, something's wrong with it. I mean, obviously, these guys are absolutely legendary, so what do I know? It looks like a miracle occurred, and we didn't get blocked, so there you go.
Okay. When you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? Don't you know it's going to be all right? You say you've got a real solution. Well, we'd all love to see the plan. Oh, shooby dua. Oh, shooby dua. Why do they do this? Ask me for a contribution. Well, we're all doing what we can. Oh, shooby dua. Oh, shooby dua.
I mean, what the fuck?
I don't get it. I'm sorry. But if you want money for people with minds that hate, all I can tell you, brother, you have to wait. Boy.
It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Okay. You'll say you'll change the Constitution when you know we all love to change your head. Shooby-doo-wah, oh shooby-doo-wah. You tell me it's the institution, well, you know, you better free your mind instead. Shooby-doo-wah, shooby-doo-wah. But if you go carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't gonna make it with anyone anyhow. Don't you know it's gonna be all right? Okay.
Okay, so basically the gist of the song is people that want revolution, they want to see some change. But he's saying we're not trying to give our money to people that are going to just destroy. In other words, they don't want their stuff going for war. I don't think they'd be good with the $4 billion to Ukraine.
40 billion. 40 billion.
Wait, what?
40 billion. $40 billion. Like the number after 39. We don't need any money here in America. We're filthy fucking rich over here. We can send money to a country that's going to surrender in another 4 weeks. It's like the 15th military Marine Battalion has already surrendered. They're on Jimmy Dore's show a couple days ago saying, we're done with this shit. Ukrainian soldiers. They said, listen, we're willing to fight and die for our country, but you have to respect us. There was nobody. They had no real support. All their commanders and shit were sending them off to die and staying back and not going and dying with them. They're like, we're not just gonna sit here and just get mowed down for y'all. You guys gotta send us some help. I'm like, bro, we just sent you 40 Bs. What is Zelensky doing with them? It's a complete cluster over there.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so this is talking about Vietnam. 1969, it got more militant. The Weathermen terrorist group, Black Panthers and Marxists being more public in protests and gatherings. Okay. So the revolution, see, that's one thing about the 60s that I really respect. These people were like, like when I look at people who protest today,
yeah,
they're not really willing to pay a lot of prices, man. They're just not. Like, especially, I talked about this on Middle America, like the difference between right-wing activists and left-wing activists. Like, the right-wing activists we worked with were specifically about, the abortion stuff. Mm-hmm. And there was strategy. We had meetings. Mm-hmm. This is what to say. This is what not to say. Mm-hmm. We were always updating on the rhetoric. We were updating on strategy. I watched tons and tons of pro-choice stuff just to get in the head of people and try to speak effectively and yada, yada, yada. Also done some left-wing organizing, particularly around qualified immunity and things like that. The organization on the right, it was just miles ahead. I mean, the sophistication was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about regular citizens going from, I don't like abortion, to writing bills and then setting it up so you had bunches of people that were giving testimony, and then you had little kids giving testimony to these adults. They put it on YouTube. It was brilliant. Media manipulation, creating there are some of us that created situations so get the cops in trouble, lawsuit. Yep. I mean, it was like a complete. It was like a machine. Mm-hmm. But on the left, there's a lot more passion, but a lot less. And also in our group, there was a real willingness to die. I mean, people would threaten you. They threatened to kill. I mean, multiple. We had people there people threatened to kill them multiple times. They didn't care. We had.
Sometimes I look back at that time and I'm like, oh my gosh, like we were there. We had our kids there. Like that scares me now. I'm like. Because remember that guy came out and he just like threw the dirty mop water and let it go all over the kids?
Yeah, he threw it right at the kids.
What a disgusting human being. Yeah. No, what he did was...
But the kids were happy.
The sidewalk is obviously slanted a little bit so that way it doesn't collect ice and water on it. So he came out with this big giant thing of nasty mop water and he threw it up against the building. All the little kids were sitting... It was so sad. They were really little, like I'm talking like 3 and 4 year olds. They were sitting on their blanket and they were using Play-Doh to make like little babies and making little blankets for the babies because they were trying to say like, let the babies live. It was so cute. He threw the dirty water and then it came rushing down onto them on their little blanket and their little Play-Doh.
Yeah.
I was like,
they're all happy though. They're
the
like,
kids
"Yay,
were, I know, we got
some
persecuted.
Yeah, but my point is like, in those meetings, like people, people were willing to die. People, I mean, hell, the attorney general jammed up one of our guys. And,
Yep.
I mean, this shit.
Yep.
I mean, it got legal, and thank God we had some, legal folks, to get our back. My point is like the organizational and the willingness to like completely sell out for this mission on the right, whereas meeting with folks on the left.
Yeah.
It's so much harder to organize. It's harder to get people to go in a certain direction. And the other thing is people don't want to pay those prices, man.
Yeah.
They just don't. They're worried about danger. They're worried about the legality, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just completely different.
Yeah.
So now, like, I'm on the left-wing side with this whole gun situation. And I'm just sitting there, like, losing my mind. Because I'm like, there's no way we're going to win this situation. And by the way, at least 3 people are dead in a shooting in a fucking Tulsa hospital. So there's that. So we continue to have whatever. But yeah, it just seemed to me like in the 60s, people were radical in the right way. Like they, if you were doing the BLM shit, if you were doing Black Lives Matter shit back then,
yeah,
you were not getting rich and buying a fucking mansion to live around white people like the current BLM organizers. You realize that? That lady got all that money from black suffering, a bunch of money off of black suffering and white guilt, and she quickly took all that money and fucking moved away from her people to a bunch of white folks, and then she gets on TV and says, "Hey, you should have known better." Basically, fuck out of here. Like back in the day, if you were gonna take to the streets for Black Lives Matter, then the German shepherds were coming after you.
Yeah,
you were gonna get blasted down the street. You were gonna, people were willing. When they were talking about revolution, it doesn't matter if you were left or right. People were willing to die over that shit. They're willing to die. They're willing to go to prison. They're willing to pay real prices. I don't see that now. And honestly, I don't see it now. And I'm in a unique position where I've been an activist in both camps, and it's not even close to being the same as far as being sophisticated, being organized. And I don't know what the reason for that is. I don't understand the reason. I'm sure Jordan Peterson has some psychological whatever. But when I look at these lyrics, you want a revolution. We all want to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution. Well, we all want to change the world. It just seemed like this is one of the things I really appreciate about Revo's stream, because you really saw things from the 50s on up.
Yeah.
And you couldn't help but be quote unquote political, because whether you were white or black, people had something to say about what was going on. And I really do believe when he says you have a revolution, you want to change the world. I grew up hearing that, right? Like from my teachers in the commercials, they would say shit like, you can change the world and I really believed that shit. And when I looked at Miss Moulton and she would say that shit, I'd be like, oh, okay, we about to do some shit here. Like, and there wasn't really anything going on in the 90s, for me anyway. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, and like when I listen to the music of the 50s and I see the interviews and I see this with the Beatles, like I really believe that people believe that. I don't hear that anymore from people like, yo, I can change the world. And what's crazy to me is that young people and people in our generation are the most able to do genuine world changing because of technology and where we are in the media. Like, we've got 76 million total views in the Vin and Sori, universe, whatever. Which at the time, the Beatles were famous, but they didn't have 76 million people looking at them because of the technology. Right. So now you literally can change the world sitting on your ass, and young people like something like that like naive belief like has been taken from them, and they're also like cynical now. And I understand like their authority figures failed them, but in the 60s when your authority figures failed you, you would say fuck you and go to the street. Now with young people, it's like the authority figure failed you, so they just, I don't know, play Fortnite or whatever.
That's interesting.
And like all the safe space stuff. Now look, I respect people being triggered. I obviously respect mental illness, and I try to talk as much as I can about the mental illness in myself and my family to destigmatize it. But this whole concept where you need a safe space, the right-wing people will mock you and make fun of you, but the right-wingers also need a safe space. They don't want their little white kids learning of all the shit that their parents and their grandparents did, so they're writing legislation so that their white kids don't have to hear that. So, like, but at the same time, the right-wing will call everybody on the left, you know, you're soft, you're weak, you're this, you're that, you're a snowflake, yada, yada, yada. Do you need a safe space? Yada, yada, yada. And I think, like, in trying to create, because I do believe you need safe spaces when you're in the midst of a culture war. But the problem is it doesn't give you the intestinal fortitude you need to stand up against, you know, evil.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this as a person who, what the left believes is evil, the right believes is good, and vice versa. So the whole safe space thing, like, it's not going to create a group of people that believe they can change the world. How can you think you can change the world if you're so terrified of the world that you need a place to be safe where nobody can come after you? And then there's this thing called microaggressions, where it's like the person isn't even coming after you, but they say something, and because I interpret it as racist, that means that you were being racist and you should apologize. And so we get this nice area where nobody will ever offend you. Okay, that's not creating a group of people that are willing to say, I'm willing to die over this shit. I'm willing to go to prison. I'm willing to be attacked. You're not going to create an army of protesters and revolutionaries who are going to change the world from a safe space.
Right.
It's not going to happen. And that's the reason why you get people like AOC, for example. And AOC, how did she start off? Full of life, full of vigor, ready to wreck shop, ready to be a disruptor. The first thing she did when she got sworn in or whatever it was, she went after Nancy Pelosi and did a sit-in. And then what happened? Bernie Sanders capitulated to the fucking Democratic Party, and she lost all of her motivation, and she got some resistance, and now she's fallen in line because she never really had any real... She didn't earn her stripes on the street. And I could tell who earned their stripes on the street and who hasn't, because now AOC faces a little bit of resistance, and she completely capitulates. She voted to send the $40 billion to Ukraine. She voted for the largest transfer of wealth with this COVID relief packet and all this other shit. She just went and completely sold out. Why? I don't think it's because she's a bad person. I think she wasn't trained to fight. And the way you get that training is you hit the streets.
Yep.
And resist the cops a few times, get arrested a couple times, do a 4-hour deposition where it's just you and there's 4 lawyers for the state and it's just you, but your lawyer can be there and all your lawyer can do is...
No offense, your lawyer wasn't very hard.
Yeah, shout out to her. She was
a nice lady.
She was 4 months pregnant at the time that I was giving my deposition, But like, that's the thing, is like, I feel like the young people in this country right now on the western side of the planet are the most powerful group of young people literally in the potential power.
I was gonna say potentially.
Potential power, but it's not kinetic because they're soft. I'm sorry, you're soft.
I don't know.
These people, look, man, I'm sorry, but I mean, this is some inspiring shit. You want a revolution? You want to change the world? Everything's gonna be all right. Yada yada yada. I don't know. I think these guys are. I could lyrically. I'm going to say something probably blasphemous, but the closest thing I could see to this lyrically as I'm looking at the lyrics and what it's inspiring to do is Bob Marley has a song, Baby, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing It's gonna be all right. Like that refrain, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be all right, yada, yada, yada. You're talking about a revolution, which is very provocative.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, oh, it's gonna be chill. You got the doobie in the hand. We're good. That balance of like, yo, we need a revolution. We need to change everything. And also, hey, everything's gonna be chill. That's like a Bob Marley type vibe. You know, that's what I grew up on, and that's what it reminded me of when they started singing. That's my favorite part of the song, is when they started singing that. That's when I was like, okay, like I see the Bob Marley-esque. Yeah, Three Little Birds, Andre, exactly. Yeah, like the Three Little Bird song. You know, it's the same situation.
Okay.
So. Yeah, I love like the revolutionary spirit. Also, I think Marilyn Manson copied some of this stuff. Because Marilyn Manson, you say you want a revolution, the ape was a great big hit.
Oh, really?
I think you're full of shit.
Negative Vibes said that Typo Negative was influenced by the Beatles heavily.
Really?
That's crazy to me.
That makes sense. Disposable Teens, yeah. Yeah, Disposable Teens. There was a couple things that Manson said in that song that I'm like, yo, you copied from the Beatles, bro. Yeah, look, check this out. I'm gonna copy this little stanza right here and compare it to what the Beatles said, which of course I know what Dwayne is gonna say. He's gonna say everybody copied the Beatles, but you said you wanted revolution. The ape was a great big hit. You say you want. You said you wanted evolution. The ape was a great big hit. You say you want a revolution, man. I say you're full of shit. And there was a line like that in this song too about revolution and evolution or whatever. But here it is right here. You see, you say you want a revolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. So it looks to me that Manson took that concept of this song, the Beatles song, where it's like encouraging young people to take part in revolution, and like 30 to 40 years later, Manson does his song Disposable Teens, and he's saying basically it didn't work. is what I got from that. So that's an interesting like back and forth. Lyrically, the song is massively provocative. So he's talking about like if you go around carrying pictures of Chairman Mao, you ain't gonna make it anywhere anyhow. So Chairman Mao is the fucking communist Chinese leader who completely, you know, converted the country to communism, killed a bunch of people, whole 9 yards. So at the time, if you were against the Vietnam War, then that meant you were a commie, because we were, you know, red baiting. And so it was, you had the Russian scare, and then after that you had the Chinese scare, and we're back to the Russian scare again. So anybody that's against war is a tool of Russian propaganda. Tools like Noam Chomsky, tools like John Hersheimer, people like that. You're a tool of Russia. So history is repeating itself. But, you know, Chairman Mao was obviously demonized by America because he was a communist. He also killed a bunch of people. So there's that. And so it's like you're walking around with pictures of Chairman Mao. It's like, how countercultural do you really want to be? And like, what good is it to be that far and that extreme? Because all they're going to do is jam you up, and you're not going to be able to spread communism anywhere, right? So it was just a very, very like, it was a deep song, you know, like it was a really deep song that really addressed the issues of the day, but it had that Bob Marley twist, and it wasn't so cynical. Because that's one of the things, like if you're an activist, that's one of the easiest things to fall into is cynicism. I remember one time I was talking to a girl, and she said there were two issues when I was talking to girls outside of abortion clinic I'll never forget. Remember, there was that school with the troubled youth, and Planned Parenthood set up like they always do, like within 10 square miles of a
got off. They would walk.
school.
They had to basically walk by Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Well, the exact place where they would walk by was where, like, the escorts that escort the girls in were standing. So they were readily available. And they would go into the schools every year to, you know, give the kids pamphlets, information, tell them all the services that they would do without their parents' permission.
Shout out to Planned Parenthood.
But I remember one time we developed a relationship with this girl because she would show up or what. Beautiful girl, but she was 16. And she said to me, she was sitting there listening to me, and she said, you know, she said she had a hard life. She's going to the school with troubled kids. She said, I have a hard life. And I said, I understand that. And I said, but sis, you're here now. Should your mother have aborted you? Like, I know you had it rough, but should your mother have aborted you? And she said, yes, she should have aborted me. And
that was sad.
I wasn't prepared for that. Mm-hmm. And she was dead ass serious. And I'm usually pretty quick-witted, but I was like so caught off guard that I just stood there like an idiot. And then she kind of looked at me and walked off. And I was like, that was probably one of the most disheartening moments in my entire life. I was just like, and I remember looking at the pink vest people. I was like, you fucking, your arguments when you say, oh, this woman's on drugs, blah, blah, blah. Yep. I'm like,
are these kids supposed to?
Do you not realize the logical ramifications of how that sounds to other people?
Right.
And what the fuck that means?
Because they say all the time, well, if their life is going to be hard.
Right.
Their life is going to be hard.
So you
then
can't
she's
tell,
like, okay,
you
my
can't
life
tell
is
them.
hard.
Over it, but that was very hard to see because I'm looking at that girl. There's so much promise. She, did a couple bad things here and there in life, but she's still trying to go to school, and she's got her little cadre of friends with her. Yeah. And those people, when they heard that, didn't say a fucking word to that girl.
Nope.
Not a thing.
Nope.
But they would have been all nice and caring for her if she would have went in there to get an abortion. They're always there. They're always there when they're going in. They're never with them when they go out. Exactly. That's when we deal with them. When they're crying and all the rest of it, that's when we get them.
Over and over. It was like they didn't even exist when they came out all broken and sad.
It's fucking cold-blooded. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. You know that lady that used to always sit and watch me talk, the pink lady, the pink vest lady? Mm-hmm. She was like, looked straight down at the ground when that girl said that. Because she knew. And that's why I said, y'all did this. Because you keep throwing out that rhetoric as if these people don't deserve to live. Hello, there's people that are in that situation, that are alive. So you tell them, oh, if your mom is a crackhead and she was a whore or whatever, then obviously the best thing to do for that baby is execute it. So like, to keep, you have to have something that balances out that cynicism. And that's why I think Bob Marley was such a good influence, because he was able to talk about the struggle of African people and what we were going through, but he was also able to say, it's going to be okay, we're going to figure it out. And you need that if you're an activist, because that's the number one thing, is you get really cynical really quickly. Yeah. Because when you're an activist, you're at the front lines of human corruption. Mm-hmm. And you are interfacing with people that want to maintain a horrible, evil system, whether it's racism, sexism, LGBT shit, where you can fucking... You know you can evict people in this country because they're gay? You can, like, literally fucking kick them out of your house in the dead of winter just because they're gay. So if you're going to interface with that kind of evil, and you see people on the other side that are fighting to do oppressive, evil shit to people that you love, or groups of people that you love, it's so easy to get cynical and hard and angry and hateful. And so when you have a musician that's a revolutionary, I definitely believe there's a place for like a Rage Against the Machine type music. But I also think everything's gonna be all right, and this stuff, what he was saying, like, it's all good, like, you need that to balance out the cynicism. You have to, because otherwise you're gonna become a really hard, cold
individual
person.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with the pro-life group, unfortunately, there are people in very important positions of power that are really bitter people. And now they're trying to almost ventilate all the anger they've had because they've been on the front lines for decades. Now that they've got some power, now they're going crazy talking about, they try to get Jeff and those boys, they try to give the girls death penalty in Louisiana. You know how to say Jeff?
Jeff Durbin.
Yeah, don't mention his.
Oh, well.
Good God. But anyway.
What? He's putting his information out there publicly.
No, he's not.
He's not?
They didn't know that he was it doesn't matter. We're a small channel. They're not going to care. But those people, some of those folks have gotten very, very bitter. And now that they've got some power, this is all like vengeance and legislation. Bless God that they struck that down. They struck that down in Louisiana. But you should have seen, because I'm in their little private little group, you should have seen it was like a funeral. I thought they lost. I said the whole thing got reversed. They're like, no, they're just going to change the bill. I was like, what do you mean? And it was like the death penalty section. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys are upset that you can't kill these girls? Holy shit. Holy shit. I'm like, Jeff, what about the girl that's dragged in by the sex trafficker? We're going to kill her and fucking leave the sex trafficker? Like, are you out of your fucking mind? But to me, that's that bitterness that comes with being an activist.
Yeah, yep.
You see all that injustice. Now you get some power. You want to wreck shop.
Yep.
It's just like the same thing with BLM. It's like, oh, BLM, yeah, now you're getting some traction. And then you say some dumb shit like defund the police. See? Ridiculous. Anyway, really, really good song. Really good song. This is a 9.6 for me.
8.4 for me.
It's a really, really good song. I actually like this song. I just don't understand yet the Beatles hype. So
I don't either.
There's that. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.